Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. One of the most difficult things for me in planning and setting goals for a new year is how to make all of life's puzzle pieces fit together. Like most of us, I wear a lot of different hats, and I usually have much more to do than I could ever possibly have time for. And last year, in particular, I found myself getting lost in the mix, and I had very little time, or even no time, for my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical well being. The end result was that the rest of my life also seemed disjointed. And I have a feeling that many of us have felt this way from time to time. Because of this, I began asking myself some pretty tough questions. How could I better manage this life that God gave me? How could I serve Him with my complete being without feeling like I was on a hamster wheel, constantly moving, but making very little or no forward progress? During December, I realized that I needed to make some changes in this coming new year. Simply put, I needed to find a better way to be a steward of me. And I looked into several different books and programs that dealt with task and time management, mainly because my life seemed so out of control and on a collision course with major burnout. The more I looked into these programs, all of which had very useful advice, I realized that there was a fundamental problem. Often in our attempts at planning and setting goals, we're naturally focused on ourselves, and it's an easy thing to do. When things aren't going well in our lives, we turn inward in an attempt to make sense of the nonsense. But I noticed that when I put myself at the focus of my planning and goal setting, first off, by the simple principle of substitution, God was pushed to the fringes of my life. Now, I still had my relationship with Him, but my focus even then was on me rather than Him. Because of that one puzzle piece of Him not being in the center, everything else would get out of alignment. In fact, a lot of those pieces would go missing in action because I can't make proper decisions or decide where to focus my efforts if my life focus is in the wrong place. As I prayed through the process of setting goals for this year, I asked the Lord to help me know where and how to focus my time. Immediately, I was reminded of how the young nation of Israel, in their trek through the wilderness, were told by God to set up camp in a specific layout with the tabernacle, which represented His presence with them, at the very center of their lives. This little nudge by God's Spirit helped me realize that I can't even hope to have the various puzzle pieces of my life fit together unless God is at the center. God's our creator. He's the one in charge, not just of my little dust speck of life, but of everything. Not only that, He sent Jesus to redeem us from sin and death, so our lives are not our own. We've been bought at a price. When I put God in His rightful place in my life, everything else lines up. Because my focus is on Him instead of me, the pieces all miraculously fit together. Now, there is a very real connection, I think, between life's puzzle pieces and peace. The Hebrew word for peace is shalom, which at its very root definition means complete and whole. The antithesis of peace, of course, is conflict and chaos and confusion. When we put self at the center, the result is conflict, chaos, and confusion. But when our lives are God-centered, the result is peace, wholeness, completeness, and an integration of all that we are. Isn't that something we all want? I know I do. But there's only one way for that to happen, and it's not in putting self at the center. These verses kind of confirm all that we've discussed here. First is Mark 12:30. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The next verse is Matthew 6:33. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. In other words, we all need to allow God His rightful place at the center. Our lives aren't about us after all, they're about Him. Only then will all of life's puzzle pieces fall into place. I'm wishing you all a very blessed year of God-centered living. Shalom.